What are the fundamentals of 4? How's everyone doing today? Welcome to my channel. I'm Thomas, and I do mostly educational material, stuff that's kind of off the beaten path, things that most people don't know anything about. They know about these subjects, but they don't know the angle. I think more holistic angles. I'm trying to make connections and integrations where, these subjects, when you learn them at school, are all separated. And so the fundamental thing that I teach is the tree of life. Because the tree of life is like a common denominator. It gives you the ability to be able to take disparate subjects and to unify them. So it's kind of a template that you use in order to organize all the other material that you're working with. So the way it works, more or less, is that it's got 12 different categories. You can see 10 of them as circles here. 10, they're numbered 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then there is an abyss right here in the center, on the center pillar. And then there is a 0 above the tree. So that it makes 12 different categories. And these categories basically describe our faculties of consciousness, or our capabilities of consciousness. In the 0 sphere case, it kind of represents our lack of consciousness. We'll be talking about that a little bit today. And just to give you the short once-over on what each sphere is about, the 10th sphere is our survival instinct, the law of the jungle, kill or be killed, the state of nature, the fight or flight response, and also the defilements of the body, the lusts of the body. So the 10th sphere has to do with, the wild animal within us. And then this is more like the mammalian within us. This is our domestic sphere. This is what we get in the home, as we become domesticated. And this is our ability to learn. We have a very heightened receptivity in this sphere here. We're soaking up everything like a sponge. This is really like the first few years of our lives, where everything is like a marvel to us, and everything gains our full attention because we've never seen it before, and we're amazed by it. And then we eventually we practice these various behaviors that we've been exposed to, and these various movements that we've been exposed to, and we imitate the people that we see doing these things. So it's a process of learning through memory, practice, practice imitation. And so the 8th sphere is kind of similar to the 9th sphere in that it's a process of kind of blindly following, but it's also where the 9th sphere is focused on the domestic sphere. The 8th sphere is about the public sphere. So this is once you kind of go to school, get out into the so-called real world, and you're exposed to the conventional wisdom and the expert opinion. You're exposed to all of the teachers and the preachers in your life, and to the media, and the word on the streets, and the paradigms, the establishments, and the institutions. And they're all kind of telling you what you're supposed to believe, how you're supposed to behave, the basic ways that you can become accepted and have status in the establishment world. And to the extent that you follow the directions, you can lead your own path into that eighth sphere. But the problem is that the eighth sphere is illusory. It's a trickster. And so it's not always telling you the truth about what you're supposed to believe and how things are and how people are supposed to behave. They're just decreeing that. They're just telling you that that's what people believe or how they are. It's not actually true, or it may not be actually true. It's just what they say. The truth is what they say it is. And so and so we end up kind of, we're so hell-bent on trying to get accepted by this eighth sphere that we will actually reject our own experience in favor of what they tell us is true. Even though it contradicts our own experience, we'll set aside our own experience and say, oh, I'll believe that. There have been countless psychological experiments done on this, but the legend or the story of the emperor wears no clothes is kind of like that, where people just pretend like they believe in something just because they think everybody else believes in it. Even though they know it's not true, deep inside, they have to rationalize their behavior and pretend like it's true. Otherwise, they would think that they're losing their mind. So the eighth sphere is very tricky to navigate for that and many other reasons. Now, where the eighth sphere is supposed to be commenting on the real world, the seventh sphere is about the imaginary world. So this seventh sphere is for people who, were either in or were sniffing around in the eighth sphere, and they smelled a rat, and they said, this doesn't make any sense. I don't there are things about the eighth sphere that I don't like, so I move over here and I attempt to come up with something. I imagine a better world. I imagine a better way of doing things. And so they use their faculties of the seventh sphere, which include the imagination and inspiration, intuition, creativity, the spark of creativity, and also pleasure principle, being able to put things together that are pleasing. They use these faculties to be able to articulate something that's an alternative to this eighth sphere. Even if it's just a part of the eighth sphere, they articulate an alternative. That might be in a song, or it might be a picture, or it could be a play, or it could be an invention. These things are all creative pieces that you come up with to provide an alternative for the eighth sphere. Now, the seventh sphere, the inspiration, will give you the impetus to be able to start taking this path upward. This is an uphill path, and this is the inspiration is the 1% of the impetus, but then the 99% you have to provide. And so this is a difficult path, and this is what you take to really, kind of put your alternative out there, to get your alternative to have influence. And the sixth sphere is really at the center of the tree, and this is where we are naturally located. If this were a map, it would say you are here. And we are here, and this is our free will faculty. This is our ability to pay attention and our ability to make decisions. So those two components of free will, paying attention and making decisions. And but when we find ourselves here, we find that our attention is directed into this 8, 9, 10 matrix here. We're paying attention to our old conditionings, our habits, our cravings. These are the things that we're paying attention to. And so we have to use the other aspect of free will, which is our ability to make decisions, to decide that I'm not going to pay attention to this anymore. I'm turning my back on this, and I'm turning myself around, and I'm going to pay attention to my higher aspects that are latent within me that I'm going to develop. So that's the decision that turns you around. You begin to ignore your conditionings, and you begin to actually pay more attention to the higher aspects of yourself. And that starts out with the fifth sphere, which is our sense of justice. So we have a sense of justice that kind of tells us, what is right and what is wrong, and it's based on karma. And our karma is, as you sow, so shall you reap. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. What comes around goes around. And the karma is measured based on waste, violence, and violation. So when we are wasteful, we commit wasteful acts, then we get wasteful feedback in return. When we commit violent acts, we get violent feedback in return. And so if we're paying attention, we will notice that, and we will be able to gradually clean up our actions, because we will see, non-optimal, reactions that affect us. And we begin to recognize, I'm getting back what I'm putting out. So I need to improve what I'm putting out so that I can get back something better. And also just for the principle of not creating so much violence and waste. So we learn how to clean out our karma this way. And this is a way to open up our fifth sphere. Then we open up our fourth sphere by paying attention to cosmology and universal love. Now, the fourth sphere is kind of a counterpart to the fifth sphere. The fifth sphere is about the enforcement of the law or karma, the natural law, the universal law. The fourth sphere is about the articulation of that law. And that articulation comes through generation upon generation, building upon each other and studying the universe through investigation, observation, experience, experimentation, and being able to articulate how everything works in the universe. All the fundamental questions about the universe are answered by cosmology. And by studying many different kinds of cosmology, we can gradually approach something that a universal law that works for us, a version of the universal law. Now, we'll never get it exactly right, but we can get closer and closer. The universal laws are unchanging, but our understanding of them are always needing to be changed, because we are always getting new pieces of information, new understandings. And so, the better your cosmology, the longer it lasts, but all of them need to be updated once in a while. And then, piggybacking on that is the universal love, our ability to give seeking nothing in return and to love our enemies. And, this also, is reflected in the violence and a lack of violence and waste. And then also the universal language, being able to communicate directly with other people and other beings through innate communication channels, which include, telepathy, but also body language and inflection and sound, music, all kinds of dance, all kinds of ways that you can communicate without to people who you don't have to be educated. You don't have to take a class or take classes to understand the universal language. Okay, then the abyss right here is about our psychic powers. This is corresponds to our magnetic charge, magnetic attraction, and this is about being able to uh, recognize and then to be able to act upon omens in our life, or synchronicities, or coincidences, strong coincidences in our lives that are pointing out messages for us, pointing out communications and ways that pathways that we can move in our lives through this universal language of omens or synchronicities. Then the 3, 2, and 1 above the tree, or 3, 2, and 1 at the top of the tree, are our divine faculties within. And this is omnipotence, all powerful, omniscience, all knowing, or wisdom, our ability to solve problems. And then omnipresence, all present, all at once, eternally, everywhere. And so we tap into this through sound, we tap into this through sight, inner sight, and then we tap into this through being, feeling our being at our deepest center, which we are able to notice that the center of our being, the divine spark within us, is the same as everybody else's divine spark within them. It unifies all of us together. And then the zero sphere is above the tree, and the zero sphere represents nothingness and a mystery. And it also represents the part of the creator that is, it's part of the creator, but not part of the universe. So you can think of it kind of as the rules of the game. In the creator's universe, it operates upon certain principles, and those principles are cataloged outside of the universe. They precede the universe, or they're precede might not be the best word, because it's transcendence of space and time. They precede and they succeed the universe. Before and after the universe, those rules are still in existence. Okay, so that's the short version on the kind of the beginner's version of the tree. Now, I've started a more kind of intermediate or advanced version of studying the tree, which you you take that whole tree and you shrink it down, and you apply it to each one of the parts of the tree. So the tree has 12 parts, and you apply a whole tree to each part. So you break down each one of the 12 parts into its 12 components. So that makes 12 by 12, or 144 different mini faculties or abilities of consciousness, which I refer to as the stages of life or history, spirituality. And those stages are not really chronological stages, but they're dramatic stages. So there's a bunch of different dramas that we negotiate as we go through our lives. And I've compiled those into a list, which I'd be happy to share with you for free. If you'd like to click the link in the description, I'll send that out to you. And it helps you to kind of keep track and keep score, especially for about the final third of each one of these episodes. I go into like the more advanced part where we go through one of the 144 different fractal faculties each day. So each day when I do these videos, I give you the introduction, the beginner's aspect of it, for the first 2/3 or so of the show. And that can be kind of repetitive if you hear it over and over again, but that's the general idea. That's how you learn the tree, is by kind of almost through osmosis, where you just have to, it has to get into your rote memory somehow. You have to just memorize it, and you just have to kind of go over it over and over and over and over and over again. And that's how you learn the tree. The best way to learn it is to do it yourself. Make a diagram of it yourself, and try to explain it to somebody else. If you explain it if you try to explain it, that's the best way for you to learn it. So just listen to me over and over and over again, and then to the point where you have enough confidence to try to explain it to somebody else. And then you try to explain it to somebody else, you'll find that you learn way more about it, and because you're forced to. So that's the kind of idea. But then in the last third of each video, I go through one of the 144 different fractal faculties. Today we're looking at number 138. What are the fundamentals of 4? And so number 138 is actually zero sphere, and it is the 4th fractal of the zero sphere. So that's what we're looking at. The zero sphere is about a mystery. It's about the rules that were pre-written before the universe, and it's about the universal law, universal love, universal language, cosmologies. And so it's that part, the fourth sphere within this part, which is the zero and the mystery. So what are the fundamentals of 4? 4 squares, 4 solids, 4 noble truths. Stage number 138 is about how 4 points are needed to create the first polyhedron, the tetrahedron, the first solid, which has 4 vertexes and 4 faces. It's about the 4 square court, representing the fundamental things, have 4 quadrants separated by 90 degrees, which includes the cycle of suffering. 4 is the first square number, 2 by 2. It includes 4 separate squares, just like on the playground. On this court, there are fundamentally 4 quadrants separated by 90 degrees, just like the powers of I, the imaginary number. There are 4 different kinds of motion: translation, rotation, vibration, and rotational vibration. There are earth, air, fire, and water. There are north, south, east, and west. And there are solid, liquid, vapor, and gas. All are expressed in the XY plane in the mandala and the Argand diagram, the 4 square court. On this same court of life, there are 4 noble truths: that there is suffering, there is a cause of suffering based on craving or attachment and the delusion of the I. There is an end to suffering, and there is a path to the end of suffering, which is includes training in morality, training in concentration, and training in insight. There are 4 fundamental numbers of creation. To get those 4 numbers, take any 2 numbers that are prime to each other, meaning they don't go into each other, and take the sum and difference of those 2 numbers to make 4 numbers. You'll have a right angle and the raw ingredients for a geometrical menagerie, which includes Pythagorean right triangles. These are all quantized Pythagorean right triangles, concentric circles, ellipses, isosceles triangles, and tetrahedrons and octahedrons. When the tetrahedron has a volume of 1, the octahedron has a volume of 4. There are also 4 fundamental planes of the cube octahedron, or vector equilibrium. And there are 4 fundamental axes, or imaginary axes, of the cube or star tetrahedron. Okay, that is number 138. What are the fundamentals of 4? The fourth fractal within the zero sphere. And thank you for sticking around to the end. And please hit the like button. You can subscribe to the channel. You can share the video with others. And you can click the link in the description to get that free copy of my 144 Fractal Faculties. I have some books and other things on sale if you'd like to inquire about those. If you'd like to give me a donation, I have my Cash App and my Venmo, and that would be highly appreciated. It goes toward further research and further videos on this and other topics. And try to deliver one of these videos each day. So stay tuned for tomorrow's video, and I'll see you then. Have a great day.